The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. For centuries they taught you that courtesy was virtue, that smiling was nobler than resisting, that yielding was a sign of greatness. But that elegant lie destroyed more men than 1,000 wars. Because misplaced courtesy doesn't open doors, it makes you pray. Today you will hear the relentless echo of Machiavelli, a voice forged in exile, cold as iron, precise as a blade, and once you hear it, there is no turning back.
In Florence, I learned that the deadliest invasions don't arrive with swords. They arrive with smiles, with light jokes, with silences dressed as respect. I remember a banquet in the Palace of the Medici. Cups overflowed with wine, candles lit faces like golden masks. And between toasts and laughter, a nobleman slipped a phrase like a dagger wrapped in velvet. A mockery of my exile, spoken so softly no one reacted. The laughter continued. The gazes moved on. Only I knew that line was a wound disguised as wit. What did I do? I smiled. I stayed silent. I let courtesy disguise my humiliation. That instant was my defeat. Not because he insulted me, but because he recorded my reaction. He saw that I preferred superficial peace over the weight of my dignity. And in that record, I became prey. Understand this. Manipulators don't always enter as aggressors. They test. They cross a small line, wrapped in a joke, waiting for your response. If you smile, if you stay polite not to disturb the peace, they've already won. Because they're not testing humor. They're testing the lock. They want to know how much you will tolerate before you defend yourself. And you, believing you're noble, give them the answer. Everything. You can tolerate everything as long as there's no shouting. You can tolerate everything as long as the dagger wears the mask of courtesy. That is not nobility. That is surrender. The lesson was carved into me with scars. It's not about shouting nor making a scene. It's about breaking the polite script at the right moment. Planting a silence that freezes the room, looking them in the eye and saying, with a neutral voice, "Don't repeat that." Because what disarms the aggressor is not your nervous smile. It's your ability to withdraw warmth in an instant. That freezes more than anger. That terrifies more than rage. Never forget, true power is not measured by how you enter a room, but by what happens when you decide to leave it. In Florence, I called it the breaking point. The moment your response defines who will dominate the bond. If you smile, you surrender the crown. If you freeze, you reclaim the throne. And in that moment, it's not about rudeness. It's about clarity. It's about saying, without raising your voice, "Not with me." Remember this. What makes a man feared is not the violence of his anger, but is to freeze an entire room with one silence. If you understand that smiling at invasion is surrender, wage war against that programming. Right now in the comments, I do not surrender with a smile, because your silence can be your sword, or your chain. You decide. Block 2, apology as strategy, not repentance. In politics, I discovered something more poisonous than open betrayal, calculated apology. In Florence, a man betrayed me. He sabotaged my plans, spoke against me, and when exposed, he came to me with tears in his eyes. "Forgive me, it wasn't my intention," he said. His voice shook, his hands trembled, but his eyes glowed with calm. I understood instantly. He was not repentant. He was a strategist. He knew apology was a key, a tool to reopen a door that should remain shut. He knew that if I yielded to courtesy, I would become functional to his manipulation. And how many men I have seen fall for that trap. They accept apologies as if signing an invisible contract, permission to repeat the offense. They smile. They say, "I understand." They think they are healing. But what they really say is, Your betrayal comes at low cost. You may repeat it. Understand this. Not every apology is redemption. Many are calculated restarts, shortcuts to erase consequence. And if you answer with automatic kindness, you become complicit in your own ruin. I will tell you plainly, to forgive the one who uses forgiveness as a weapon is to betray yourself. Do not confuse resentment with clarity. It is not about living with hatred. It is about imposing cost. Your mission is not to restore the emotional peace of the one who harmed you. Your mission is to ensure they never do it again. So when you hear an apology that feels rehearsed, do not rush to respond. Let silence weigh on those words. Let discomfort be heavier than your smile. And if you do speak, say it without relief. I heard you. Nothing else. Do not return calm. Do not grant absolution. Because true power is not forgiving quickly, but discerning when forgiveness is just another mask. Do something stronger. Stand up right now, face the mirror, and hold your face without a smile for 1 full minute. Watch how even your own reflection grows stronger. That is your first act of sovereignty. When you control your face, you control the room. Block 3. Victimhood as a tool of control. Of all the masks I saw in Florence, none was more dangerous than the eternal martyr. I remember a nobleman who ruined himself with his own hands. He wasted fortunes on parties, betrayed alliances, and when ruin came, he stood before us in tears. Everyone has betrayed me. I am a victim of fate, he cried, and many believed him. They welcomed him, consoled him, financed him once more. The result? Months later, he repeated the same betrayal, only sharper. Understand this. Not all who cry seek relief. Some seek audience. They don't want healing. They want spectators for their theater. Their pain is not confession. It is currency. And you, if you respond with automatic compassion, if you give validation without filter, you become the stage of their play. I called it emotional parasitism, because that is what happens. They feed on your attention, your time, your energy, and the more you give, the emptier you become. Courtesy, in these cases, is not virtue. It is slavery disguised as compassion. In Rome, I saw cardinals dominate entire crowds with this trick. They spoke of their suffering, their trials, their ingratitude endured, and the people, believing they heard humility, surrendered like flocks. But I looked into their eyes. There was no pain, only calculation. Remember, true power does not beg for pity. True power does not turn its pain into a show. The one who insists on playing the victim is not a sufferer. He is a director of theater. And you, if you don't awaken, become part of the scenery. So when someone drags you into their narrative of suffering, do what I did in Florence. Break the script, interrupt them, ask, "And what was your responsibility in all of this?" Watch the mask crack. For victimhood cannot survive responsibility. And if you choose not to speak, disconnect. Silence is also an answer. Emptiness is also a border. When a manipulator receives no reaction, he drowns in his own play. Don't write this. Don't repeat it out loud. Say it now, in silence, just for yourself. I break the theater of the victim. Let those words echo inside your mind. Because true power does not feed on pity. It feeds on clarity. Block 4. The theft of time in the name of courtesy. In my years as a diplomat, I discovered a weapon more dangerous than the sword: stolen time. In Rome, the cardinals mastered this art. They made you wait in endless corridors, hours standing before closed doors, just to remind you who controlled the rhythm. It wasn't neglect. It was calculation. They observed. Do you grow impatient? Do you fidget? Or do you smile politely, as if nothing happens? The one who endured waiting with a smile had already lost, because he had confessed, without words, that his time was worth less than theirs. I saw it in Florence, too. Merchants who arrived on time, forced to drink watered wine for hours, while the powerful made them wait deliberately. They believed patience was diplomacy. I saw something else. Submission. Remember this. Time is the purest measure of power. Whoever dictates the rhythm dictates the relationship. If you give away your time in the name of courtesy, you are not noble. You are a vassal. Prince Borgia understood this well. He never waited. He never allowed himself to be kept in antechambers. If someone wasted his time, he withdrew his presence completely. That absence was a sentence. And people learned quickly, you do not make Borgia wait. Ask yourself now, how many times have you said it's fine when someone delays your plans, leaves you on red, changes the meeting again and again? You don't see the trap because you smile. But in that smile lies your defeat. The courtesy you grant to those who steal your time is the proof they need to keep dominating you. Break this pattern. Not with anger, not with shouting. Do it cold, surgical, definitive. Phrases like, let me know when this is a priority for you, or we'll resume when you're ready. They sound neutral, but they are invisible daggers. Because they don't ask, they don't plead, they declare. And here lies the secret. When you withdraw your time, others adjust theirs. No one respects what is always available. But everyone fears losing what withdraws with dignity. Understand this with Machiavellian clarity. Your time is your crown. If you give it away for courtesy, you steal the throne from yourself. Do it right now. Don't write, don't speak. Make a physical gesture. Cross your arms and feel the weight of your time as sovereignty, because every second you protect is a dagger in the game of the dominator. Block 5. Silence as a weapon of domination. There are men who never shout, never strike, never interrupt, and yet they reduce others to silence with a single stare. That was the most unsettling weapon I saw in Florence. Silence used as a whip. I remember a council meeting. A young man, desperate to show his brilliance, spoke endlessly. He argued, explained, justified. He believed his torrent of words would earn respect. But across from him sat an elder statesman. He didn't correct. He didn't interrupt. He simply stared, in silence, his face frozen. The young man began to falter, repeated himself, corrected numbers. Every word buried him deeper. When he finally stopped, sweating, the old man spoke only one line. We've already wasted too much time. And with that blade, the whole council turned against the boy. It was silence, not words, that destroyed him. In Rome, I learned to wield this weapon myself. When interrogated, if I rushed to justify myself, I appeared guilty. When I answered slowly, with long pauses, mystery weighed heavier than any argument. The guards stared at each other, wondering what secrets I kept. I didn't need to confess anything. Silence spoke for me. Understand this, silence can be submission or domination. The weak are silent because they fear. The strong are silent because they choose. And that difference changes everything. Courtesy, in these moments, is your worst prison. When someone imposes silence to dominate you, and you answer with nervous smiles, with soft chatter to fill the air, you've already fallen. Because your rush to soothe discomfort is your confession of weakness. I never allowed it again. I learned to return the weapon, to hold the stare, to embrace the void without bowing, to answer silence with silence. That calm, unbroken, terrifies more than a scream. Because the man who does not need words already controls the air itself. Never forget, who defines the rhythm of silence defines the psychological battlefield. And on that battlefield, the weak always lose. Hold on to this principle. The man who doesn't need to fill the air with words already controls the air. That silence you choose is not emptiness. It is domination. Block 6. Courtesy as an invisible prison. Listen closely. Not every prison has bars. Some are built from smiles, Some are raised in the name of good manners. And many of the heaviest chains are forged by a single reflex, the need to always be courteous. When I was exiled from Florence, I replayed not only my political mistakes, but the small gestures that weakened me. I remembered meetings where I was interrupted and smiled to avoid tension. Banquets where nobles mocked me and I laughed lightly. Moments when I softened, yielded, disguised my edge. The result? They believed they could shape me always. This is what I want you to see. When courtesy becomes an automatic reflex, it no longer belongs to you. It is a switch in the hands of others. They know one push makes you smile. One accusation makes you apologize. One shove makes you yield. You are not master of your behavior. You are a puppet bound by invisible strings. I saw it countless times in Florence's palaces. Ambassadors tolerating insults disguised as jokes. Merchants accepting unfair deals with forced grins. Even princes, afraid of seeming tyrannical, who allowed mediocres to disrespect them. They thought they were noble. In truth, they were slaves of their own courtesy. Courtesy without control is a glove hiding a chain. Because you don't choose when to give it, you give it always. And if you are always available, always softening the edge, always bowing your head, then your courtesy is not virtue. It is prison. I lived it myself. During a council, a powerful ally made a venomous remark before all. All eyes turned to me. Trained by years of good breeding, I smiled weakly and said, "It's nothing." In that moment, I didn't see it. But with that phrase, I signed my own defeat. I confirmed he could cross my lines without consequence. Months later, that same man was key to my downfall. I learned late, but I learned. Courtesy is only powerful when it is optional. If you cannot switch it off, it is not a weapon. It is programming, and programming can be exploited. So, hear me. Stop giving smiles to those who don't deserve them. Stop apologizing for existing. Stop softening what should be a boundary. Your courtesy must be a sheathed sword, not a dog's collar. It must unsettle, not comfort. It must be a privilege to receive it, not a right to expect it. Next time you feel that reflex to smile, ask yourself, is this smile a gift, or is it surrender? If it is surrender, don't smile. Stare. Stay silent. Let absence speak. Because when courtesy is no longer automatic but chosen, your presence gains weight. They no longer know what to expect from you. And when they cannot predict you, they cannot dominate you. Now seal this with me. Do not write it. Do not shout it. Do it in the shadow of your mind. In absolute silence, pronounce the words that separate you from naivety. I will exploit human nature. I will never deny it. Etch it into yourself. Not a motto, a law. Because the strategist does not fight against human nature. He codes it. The strategist does not expect the world to be just. He reprograms it. Final seal, the oath of cold fire. Do not forget what you heard today. Courtesy can be a key or a chain. Silence can be refuge or prison. Pain can be ruin or map. I walked through betrayals, exile, and hidden daggers. And I learned a truth no one dares admit. The world does not reward automatic kindness. It rewards ruthless clarity. So carve this into your skin. No more smiles out of fear. No more apologies for existing. No more softness for those who test your walls. From today, your courtesy will be a blade. Your silence, a weapon. Your presence, a wall no one crosses without permission. This is your Machiavellian oath. You will be the man who chooses when to show warmth, and who can withdraw all mercy in an instant. You will not be domesticated. You will not be molded. You will not be used. Today, you are not closing a video. Today, you are opening a new identity. An identity that breathes power, radiates respect, and walks with cold fire. Do not write it. Do not repeat it. Prove it from now. Because the world does not need your words. The world needs to tremble at your presence. And tonight, Before you leave, in your next conversation, choose one weapon: silence, the withdrawal of your time, or the refusal of the smile. Then, in the comments, leave one single word as your new seal. Let the world see who forges cold fire tonight.